Hi everyone, it's Kelly with Women4One, and I'm really excited today to be sitting to have a conversation with Ellyn Oaksmith. She's an author and a screenplay writer and a fellow mom in my area, and it's been incredible to get to know her and her experience with the books that she's written. So welcome, Ellyn.
Thanks.
So talk a little bit about your book. What's the name of it, and tell me a little bit about it.
It's called Adventures with Max and Louise, and it's a story really about a woman who's kind of stuck in her life. She feels that she has to take care of her father, who's a widower, and something happened in her past where she's just kind of afraid to get out of her life. She's a restaurant reviewer, but she does it anonymously as Diner X, and she finally decides to do something to get unstuck, which is to go get plastic surgery to get some scars on her chest fixed, just smoothed
Like
out.
up here. Yeah, I remember
in this
that.
area. And the surgeon makes a mistake and gives her breast implants that were intended for someone else. And then she wants to get them out, but she can't for legal reasons, and it's not advisable to have surgery right away. And the breast implants start talking to her. So,
and that's what, you know what, I loved this book because it had humor in it, but it had a personal story as well. I mean, that's what I loved about it.
yeah, I mean, I think
Breast starting to talk to you.
Yeah, my husband's like, really? You think that's something that you need to write about? And I just thought, I don't know. To me, it seemed like a good way, like one's female, one's male. It seemed like a good way to show everybody has these different sides to them. Mm-hmm. And I felt like it was a good way to show, in kind of a goofy, fun, I thought, way, that we all have these different pieces to us. And they start talking to her because she needs help. She needs to move on with her life, and she's not moving on. So it's a kind of a goofy premise, but it does have, I mean, it's very much about, I think, what a lot of people experience in their 20s, which is real kind of fear of becoming an adult. And her, she's afraid to get out there with her career and definitely her love life. Mm-hmm. So that's what they help her with. They help her get over something in her past.
And with your personal journey, because really that's what we talk about with Women4One, what was the impetus from your personal journey to write this book, and how much of the character represented you?
I mean, I was just telling a friend the other day that my 20s were a tough time in my life. I mean, it was fun. I did a lot of great stuff in my career, and I was living in LA, and I was having this sort of, looking back now, kind of glamorous life. But it was hard. I felt like I did have some issues that I needed to work through before I could move on and have a really meaningful relationship with a man and kind of have kids. And so from that aspect, it's kind of my life. I feel like the 20s are really kind of figuring out what kind of person you want to be. Mm-hmm. So that's where that came from. And just the two personalities too. I always feel like I have definitely like a more masculine side to me, where it's kind of like, just go for it. Who cares? What is what is everybody? And then the female side that's more like, oh no, you may have hurt their feelings, and like, the side that really being a mom brings out more, I feel like. So I kind of thought that was a lot of fun to play with in terms of Max and Louise.
How do you think in the book, and how it mirrored in your life, it allowed the character in the book to get more real and authentic, and in your own life, how do you feel about authenticity? So it's kind of a two-part question.
I feel like with Molly, Max and Louise help her, they help her, it's really about losing fear. I mean, it's really about getting over how people are going to judge you, and just owning up to who you are. Mm-hmm. And for her, it's very much about forgetting all the fantasies of being rescued by the White Knight, and the guy she likes in the story, who she's had a crush on since she was a kid, is very much like her fantasy of what she wants in a man, and then the man she ends up with is very much the reality. Not somebody who's going to come and sweep you off your feet. It's somebody who's going to laugh with you and who's going to love you exactly the way you are, who doesn't need you to be anybody else. Different. Yeah. And I feel like for me, I mean, kind of where I what I needed to do in my 20s is I really needed to let go of feeling responsible for everybody and let go of feeling like I had to take care of everybody and just
or be something for
and just worry about myself. I mean, I'm an adult child of an alcoholic, and as the oldest child, I always felt like, you know, I had to be perfect. I had to be a performer, and I went around sort of with all this responsibility that I never needed to have. And
it's amazing
I know.
How you just hold on to that and hold on to it.
And as soon as I let go, and my parents are great people. They were fine. They didn't need me to be anything. And as soon as I just kind of let go of that, the way Molly does, that responsibility of taking care of other people, it just frees you up. It gives you so much more energy and so much more ability to be true to yourself, because you
to find out what you need.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about anybody else. They do fine without you. But you know,
but it's also a nice distraction to have to really look and go, what is it that I want in my life? And taking some self-responsibility, I think, by being responsible for everybody else. I find that personally that's in my case. Like when I'm taking care of everybody else, I don't really have to think about what are Kelly's needs and what brings me joy and what kind of people do I want to draw to my life and how do I want to create my reality. So I'm just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It feels that way a little bit when you're always responsible for everybody else.
Yeah, you give up a part of, although, you know, it changes. Like when you become a mom, you are responsible for a lot more.
Right.
But in your 20s, when you're worried about everybody else, it's like it stops you from fulfilling your potential. From just getting out there and figuring out what you do best, which is also a tough one, and how you're supposed to do it. Like in my writing, as soon as the first screenplay I ever wrote was the same story as Max and Louise. It was a kid who, the oldest child in his family, had died, and he felt like he had to step in and become his older brother because he felt like his dad wouldn't do a good enough job because his dad was very deeply buried in grief. And but as soon as he was able to let go of that responsibility, he went off to college, and he became who he was supposed to become. But you know, while he felt like he still had to take care of everybody, he couldn't leave. I mean, I don't know. I feel like in some sense I will always be writing that story.
Right.
Hopefully different
and learning different aspects of it.
Yeah.
And so how did you come about to actually, because you know, our community is about releasing these stories, writing them so that you learn about yourself, but also moving into the next place, which is what you've already done and become an author. How did you decide that you were going to do that, or have you always just known that that was your passion to write?
Yeah, 6th grade. I've known since 6th grade.
Wow.
Mrs. Holcomb it was a very clear moment. Mrs. Holcomb said, okay, now I'm going to read a paper that one of your classmates wrote, and then she does a really good job of setting up the story, and she describes what the setting is like, what the main character feels like, and I still remember it was an alley cat that was afraid and alone.
That's great.
And then she said it's by Ellyn Oaksmith, and it was a huge moment for me, and I thought, wow, somebody thinks I can do this and that I'm good at it, and right then and there I just thought I'm good at something. And
so you held on to that, but how did you kind of manifest that, you know, in your life over the years?
Yeah, so
take steps towards that.
Yeah, I majored in English, which I'll never forget. We bought a car from someone when I was 16, and he had his master's in English from the U, and he goes, "Oh, you're majoring in English? Yeah, that's an unemployment degree waiting to happen." Just get ready to collect your unemployment checks. And I remember thinking, thank you, bitter burnout man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
always the naysayers.
Yeah, exactly. And then I just, you know, I wrote for the school paper, and then I did a kind of a funny thing, which is I decided, you know, writing books, I could never be the authors that I admired, like Truman Capote and Isaac Dinesen, who wrote Out of Africa. And at the time, I just thought, you know, oh, I like to write lighter, funnier stories. I might as well write screenplays because that'll be easier. Ha 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 ha. Could you pick anything harder?
Right.
Pitching in Hollywood, pitching movies, ideas to people is just about, I mean,
One
it's
of the
not,
hardest things.
well, it's not coal mining or working in Alaska, but it's nerve-wracking and it takes so much time. So that was kind of a funny thing. That's kind of, kind of like saying, well, I don't think I can be a dentist, so I'll be an oral surgeon.
Yeah, right. That's great. So you did the screenplay, so you figured after you did this, I could be an author. I can do this.
Well, so I was a screenwriter and I worked on a lot of other people's screenplays. I sold some of my own. They never got made. There's tons of people who make a very good living just selling them, and then they can turn around and sell them to somebody else after the option runs out. I came back to Seattle. I got married and had kids. A guy in my writing group, my screenwriting group, sold a movie called 50 First Dates with Drew Barrymore.
Right.
And he did really well. And I just looked at what he had done to get there, which is like on the phone to Los Angeles 7 hours a day.
Wow.
I had I had a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old, and I thought, there's no way, I can't do this. I was staying home with them, and it was more important to me than to write than to be on the phone promoting myself, because I need to write to feel happy. And so I decided to write a book because I just thought I cannot be, a screenwriter.
You made that choice.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do this.
But it was based, partially, to be honest, out of jealousy. I just thought, I mean, I have to do something else because the screenwriting thing is not working.
Right.
And also I don't have the time, I mean, I can't, the time I had available was when people in Hollywood were not in their offices. I could do it after, 5 when my husband, well, theoretically my husband came home at 5. Or I got up and wrote at 5 o'clock in the morning, but you can't pick up a phone and get somebody, so, yeah.
So the book came after
Then
that.
I started writing the book. I spent a lot of time, I finished the draft very quickly, and then I spent a lot of time trying to figure out where in this story was the right place to start. And I felt like I had this mass of scenes, and then I chopped off the first 100 pages, took that information, put it in the book, and then all of a sudden it all started to work.
What I want to know is if there are budding authors out there, what would you tell them to start? I mean,
I would just say to write every single day. Just put something out there, practice, and honestly, if you feel like you don't need to write every single day, then it's probably not for you, because it's something that has very little reward. I mean, yeah, sure, there's like 1% of all people who are writing that do fabulously well, but unless you really enjoy the process and enjoy the work, then it's not going to be a very rewarding career for you, because you have to, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard to sit there alone in a room and say, oh, this is fun.
but it's also, you told me, it's like breathing. You have to do it.
Totally.
It's your passion.
Yeah.
So it must give you a lot of internal benefit.
Oh,
to write.
yeah.
I mean, it is
I
your
mean, my
passion.
husband's like, when you're not writing, you're just not a nice person.
So it's your it's your own personal creativity. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
It's your creation.
I get a lot of satisfaction out of shaping something to the point where I'm happy. And it's the one area in my life where I'm so type A. It's very rewarding to me to get it to that point where I'm willing to show other people. I was just talking to a friend who's a painter, like how hard it is to get it to where you're ready to show other people, and then how horrifying it is when you hand it over and all of a sudden you realize it's not there yet. I just did that with a draft of my new book, and I felt like I called everybody. I'm like, it's not ready, you shouldn't read it, and they're all like, chill out.
You don't have to get it right.
You're fine, chill out.
Well, is it because you feel vulnerable? I mean, is it a vulnerability
Well,
along with the perfectionism?
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you really are it's your life force. You're putting yourself on that paper. It is who you are in a lot of ways.
Yes. But it's easier than acting because it's not you they're rejecting if they don't like it. But And then also it was hard because by the time everyone saw Adventures with Max and Louise, it was like very polished.
Right.
And when I sent out my new book, Divine Moves, it had like 100 extra pages.
Right.
So I was kind of thinking, you guys really don't know what it's like to read a draft, you know, this is a draft. So yeah, I mean.
It is. You have to, I mean, it is your creativity, so I'm thinking some of that is that vulnerability as well, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, feeling like you're putting very much your baby. I mean, it is. It's like sending your child to kindergarten, and the teacher goes, I don't know.
Right.
They're kind of slow.
That's kind of neat. It's like it becomes a life of its own.
Oh yeah.
A person of its own in some ways. It has its own identity. The Adventures of Max and Louise. So
yeah.
And where can we find this? Adventures of Max and Louise? On Amazon?
On Amazon, and then HarperCollins.com. I think it's in a crazy number of places online.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's like
and I'm going to post it on the website when this video is posted, so it'll be right there as well. Do you have any last words of advice or wisdom for our community? I always ask every woman that has manifested something so incredible like this, what they would suggest to our community to take action in their lives around their passions.
About your passions. I would say if you like to paint, if you like to write, if you like to garden, whatever it is, I would just say do it because, you know, people say to me now like you're an author. You know, you're published. But just whatever it is, if you're journaling, you should just. I think that people have this idea that you have to be a creative person, and everybody's creative.
Creativity does come in a lot of forms.
Yeah,
it really does.
You know, even if it's like putting together business deals. I think women are more. They can write poetry. They can. I mean, my mom, the way she gardens, she puts together plants, and it looks like it, you know, should be
masterpiece.
Oh yeah, they're just beautiful creations, and I just feel like everybody needs that in their life, and you should really look at where you're being able to express your creativity. And if you're not, I think it's something that everybody needs.
I agree totally, and I think the word creativity sometimes impedes people from going for it because I didn't think I was creative. And doing Women for One is my creativity. It is the manifestation of my passion, but it's not, you know, just writing or painting or artistry, but it is its own creation in itself. So I agree, and I really appreciate you sitting down with us.
Yeah, it's fun.
Thank you. And you can find Ellyn's book if you look on our homepage as well, The Adventures of Max and Louise. It's a really great read, and it's funny, but it's also touching, and I'm looking forward to your next book.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Ellyn.